Welcome to the Industry Dialogue series. I am Pragya Mishra and I am heading the Customer Success and Operations Department at Courseplay. Courseplay is a 360-degree employee growth platform. In an era where every product is smart, connected, and software-defined, the fundamental question for L&D is, are our organizational learning strategies keeping pace with the velocity of product evolution? To delve deeper into today's topic, we have Harshal Sawant with over 2 decades of industry experience. Harshal is a global talent COE leader and PhD researcher specializing in organizational learning strategies that directly translate technological roadmaps from aerospace to software-defined vehicles into tangible global workforce capabilities. Harshal is the global learning and competency development leader at Vistion Corporation. Thank you so much for joining us today, Harshal.
Thanks, Pragya. Happy to be on the call.
So let's start with the first question of today's episode. As industries shift to connected and software-defined products, how is this changing the way we think about learning and competencies?
Good question, but I think before I answer that question, I think we need to once again look at what this software-defined I said software-defined vehicles. That's because that's what the company I'm working with, where we are talking about software-defined vehicles. But then let's say software-defined products. And I think it's very important for us to start with what is it all about. And many people who listen to this dialogue may not be aware of it. So let's look at a traditional car. I had a car few years ago, and I just recently sold it. I used that car for last 15 years. It's a General Motors car, simple clusters. There's a infotainment in the form of CD player and probably and the USB. So just imagine like 15 years old vehicle, right? No software updates, no updates on the clusters, nothing. Whenever I take for maintenance, what I get is a engine tuning or kind of an overall. But then is there anything with respect to the electronics of the car getting upgraded? No. But I changed my car just 4 or 5 months ago and I bought Toyota Hyryder. Now that has got a lot of software enabled products in the form of clusters, displays, infotainment, right? And if I now make an analogy with our mobile, we many a times get to see a patch which comes for the operating system, and it gives a message that there's a new patch, download it, and then you have to restart the mobile. What it does, it enhances with the new features of operating system. Now, same way, if I make an analogy with my car, whenever there is an upgrade in the software, for example, right now the car is running on certain version of Android CarPlay. But then if Google changes the Android version, what would happen to my car? In my car, what will run? Now, for that, there's a software update which has to happen, right? Currently, some of the car variants, we need to take it to the dealership to get that software patch enabled, and then car will run with a new version. Some of the variants, we get connected to the internet, the patch gets downloaded in the car, and then in the car, it will give a message to restart the software, right? What I'm trying to tell you is it's a software defined product. That means everything is there through a software. There comes a patch over the air and the car gets upgraded. Nowadays, all the cars have got everything on the controller. All the systems in the car are controlled from the central unit called as a domain controller. Sorry if I have given too much of technical details, but I'm just trying to lay certain foundation that if I use the car as a product, which is software defined, everything is software controlled, there comes patches, any enhancement gets upgraded. Similarly, if I make another example of consumer goods and then I could get to our regular stuff. Let's say IoT, and many of us, we hear the home automation. Right. And a simple example of, I have an Alexa and I say, hey, Alexa, start music, or, open the curtains. Now it's a IoT devices. They're all connected through a Wi-Fi. Now, what if there is a change in the hardware or change in the software, the operating system enhancement, new features enhancement, the wake up word. So, hey, Alexa is a wake up word. Now, can I change it to give some different name of my liking? Hey, Jasmine. And I'm just taking an example, but if I have to make any changes, they need to happen. And it is possible in today's world because of the technology enhancement. And all this is software defined products. And more we are advancing, more and more it is getting into our life. My dishwasher, right now it is Wi-Fi connected. I can't control it directly, but never know in future, I may go for a dishwasher where I can control from anywhere in the world my dishwasher. I mean, so
Definitely.
software defined products. Now, if I look at this as a definition for our dialogue, now I would like to take up this question of how the learning is connected. Or can you please re-ask the question?
Yes, definitely. So, you've spoken about technology and how it is integrating with our day-to-day lives. And you gave some very great examples of car and, our home features. So, how are industries shifting to and connecting to these software-defined products? And how is this changing the way we are thinking about learning and competencies?
So how I'll just split into two. The first is how industry is shifting. I think if you see any advertisements in the newspaper or any other media, most of the products are talking about AI enabled.
Yes.
Right now, the recent ads, if you see, let's say TV. So TVs are AI enabled. Washing machines are AI enabled. Now, I don't know. I really have to find out what is AI enabled in washing machine, but probably I guess it may sense the dirt in the cloth. I don't know how. There may be a sensor, but then imagine like there is a sensor which senses the dirt in the cloth or maybe through the water and then changes the cycle automatically by adding little higher degree of hot water, all
Yeah.
that thing. So overall, first thing which I would like to answer is everybody, I believe all the companies, those who are manufacturing any type of good, be it aerospace to be it automotive to simple consumer goods, everybody is in the race of showing that they are AI enabled. And AI enabled is nothing but software defined products. So unless you have software built in their controllers, you can't get that AI inside it. So overall, what I would like to say is there's a shift I observe. I see that through various media, through what I understand, and all of us uh, see that day to day that there is a shift. Every company, every product, every industry is trying to show they're tech enabled, they're AI enabled. There's a software component involved into it. So that's piece one. Now, the second part, how competencies are changing along with this. I would like to start with an example in the company where I'm working, Vistion. There is a need, and now we are having a workforce which is more Gen Z coming in.
Yeah.
They are more gadget people. They want everything agile. They want immediately and instant gratification sort of, that's a generation. Now, the new things coming up are agile learning. And thus, I would say learning is an outcome to possess, to acquire those competencies. So if there is a agile learning, everything has to be quick, just in time, on the go. We should also have agile competencies or something where I don't possess this competency now, but I need to work on something new quickly. I need to quickly adapt that new competency. Now, in my overall studies and observations, I believe there's a shift happening while industry is shifting towards more tech, more software defined. That's because more of AI coming in. But at the same time, to make that happen, the workforce, by virtue of need of catering to this, and also by virtue of new generation coming in and their likes and their preferences, the competencies and this landscape of learning, competency, and etc., all that is also shifting with more agile, more on the go, more quick shift, and adapting, having a very agile, just in time frameworks. rather than our traditional ways of doing. So to give an example, I started with in my company, we are working on a project where we are building a learning agent. A learning agent, the work has just started, but imagine 2 years down the line when it is full-fledged, ready, fully developed, it has learned by its own. Learning agent being available for everyone in the company will know who the learner is, what the learner's background is, what their personality is, what the learning preferences are. Having all this personal side on one end, the other side is a requirement of the job, and will create a learning out of whatever is being fed with and present to that learner to quickly learn, which learner will quickly go through and start applying then and there. So good old days, we as even HR used to get the nominations, used to arrange a program after a month and people used to go through 2 days. After that, they used to apply. I think things are changing. It will not happen the way we used to do in the past. It would be very agile.
Yeah. So will it be right to say that AI or in fact software will enable customized learning plans that you mentioned? Will it be right to say?
Absolutely. It has to happen. That's because of the agility required. See, I would say in this fashion now, nowadays, I mean, let's say good old days, there used to be an engineer. I'm talking about, let's taking an example of engineering team. So there are mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, software engineers, and very customized, siloed departments. But I don't see anymore. In our company, mechanical department engineers are writing their AI codes, right? So can they stick and tell that, oh, no, I'm a mechanical engineer, I don't know, I don't want to do? They can't say that, because the moment say that I don't know or I can't do, they'll be replaced by someone who knows that.
Correct.
So boundaries are getting blurred and people have to learn, and now they can't spend a lot of time to learn to be competitive in this very critical industry, very competitive job market. So one has to be very agile, one has to be very quick in learning, adopting new competencies and skills.
Right. This actually reminds me of bite-sized learning feature that Courseplay has. That this can be enabled. It can be created, of course, by the L&D team, and then learners can, like you mentioned, anytime learning. Learners can just open their app while traveling or while just commuting from their office to home, wherever they are, and this will help learners or their employees, the company employees, get more information or just complete a part of a course. And this makes a lot of sense. However, you also mentioned you actually comparing how things used to work at a certain point in time and how things have changed. So what challenges do you see when you're aligning these traditional learning frameworks with such rapid technology changes?
So challenge number one I see is the having a right platform. And you mentioned that you have bite-sized learning. Many companies even don't have a regular learning. Forget about the bite size, right? So having the right content is very important. For agile learning, if a learner, if an engineer needs a quick information to be applied on the job, on the go, that engineer will not, let's say any learner, I'm using an example of engineer, so just bear with it. But then if someone wants a quick nuggets, that person can't afford to go through 5 hours of learning. Correct. Which typically starts with giving an introduction, then the concept, history, geography, sorry, but all that, and there's no time. We cannot go through a traditional. What's required is bite size, on the job, which will give the quick answer and the fixes. So today's generation, and that's a need of an hour, is give me there now, I apply it immediately. I don't have time to wait for 5 years. So bite-sized learning. So basically, to answer you, what are different things and challenges? One is having a right content in the right size, the duration part. Second is a right platform, because finally it needs to get consumed in a right fashion. like mobile learning on the go. If you see new generation Gen Zs, while working on the laptop or a desktop, on one side there's mobile on. Now what they do on mobile, uh, we need not have to worry about. I have seen the new generation, they're equally, while they're on social, at the same time while working on the laptop, the other hand is checking the media. There's nothing wrong. That's how they have grown up. And that's how we as a HR or as a company and the leaders have to accept the fact, in my opinion, rather than restricting that their behavior of their way of behaving, we should rather enable and make the system and the environment conducive so that they can still be productive, a rather better way. So imagine a person is working and intermittently checking social media and intermittently also check, hey, while in this work, I need this quick help. I'm stuck with so and so logic. I need that help. So having a bite size on a mobile platform, something which is handy, is really required. So one is the right learning, second is the right platform, and someone who will understand what I need. Now imagine I am not a very fluent in English, or I am not in a position as a young engineer. I'm not fluent. I don't know how to comprehend. I don't know how to, put it in the right words, right? Can someone understand what I need, whatever I speak in a very local, hey buddy, hey bro type of language? So
Yeah.
can I speak that in a language which I prefer, in the lingo and the style which I prefer, and still I get the quick right answer?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the interaction, the platform, and the right content are the keys.
Yeah. That actually perfectly answers my question. Because in the end, we all just want to be understood. And I think NLE capabilities should enable all generations to
Absolutely.
align this. But Harshal, tell me, how can competency frameworks become more adaptive and future-proof in this environment? Because I feel that a lot of the workforce, let's say, who's of the older generation, might be facing some challenges. And now this workforce has to create these competency frameworks for the upcoming workforce. So how do you think this can be future-proofed?
I remember my earlier days in previous companies, we used to have competency framework getting updated or refreshed every 3 years. Maybe even before that, it used to be 5 years. So now if you see this, that duration is coming down. So in our company till last year, we were refreshing for last 2-3 years, we were refreshing our competency framework every year. Now, currently, we are talking about, can we refresh it every quarterly? That's the need of an hour. Things
From
are
5 years
changing.
to 2 months.
2-3 months. That's all because of the technology is changing at such a rapid pace, especially in the software world. If you, those who are working in the software industry, they know that now there are agents available wherein you can provide the specs and then you get the code. You put it and another agent will also run past your test and will also debug it for you. Now things are rapidly changing. Now, can we just rely on AI? No, it is still in that phase where we have to sync with the human engineer and AI. Now, how will this space be? We can't wait for 1 year to change the competency framework so that engineer learn how to interact with AI. There has to be a competency introduced to really make engineers work. So one is that. Second is, the release from all these software companies or even from this AI companies are happening every quarter or even lesser than that. There's a new thing coming up. While we are working in our company on Android 14, now there's a talk about Android 16. Now, can we wait? We can't. So one of the thing in Vistion, which we have just started talking about, is how agile our framework can be. And then one of the proposal is to have a quarterly check with the business teams asking, can we add one or two, if not, nothing compulsory, but then we will add business, we'll create a kind of a framework. We are in the process, we're asking, are there any future skills to be incorporated in the framework?
Yeah.
We keep checking this as a checkpoint every quarter. The assessment currently in our company happens once in a year. The assessment is followed by the development plan and then the learning. But then rather than waiting for a year, can we not have it quarterly? And if it is really very urgent and important skill, can we not quickly roll out the assessment for that skill for those engineers
Right.
rather than waiting to course correct after a year?
Yeah. So actually connect this to something that we have in our company are minor releases and major releases. So maybe
Absolutely.
annual upgrade of the competency framework can be like a major release, but there have to be these minor upgrades happening throughout the year.
Absolutely. I believe that, earlier days we used to do it a lot because of the compliance. Like for example, in automotive industry or even in aerospace industry, there are certain standards. Without following that standards, we don't get a certificate to operate our business. Like in automotive industry, there's a standard called as a IATF. It's an International Automotive Task Force. Now it mandates automotive companies to assess their teams and then have their development plans, and that is being audited externally once in a year. Now, good old days, it used to happen also because of the compliance. But then now, because of the need of the business, we have to be so agile, quick. We have to have that in place, not because of the compliance. Compliance anyway will happen as a regular product. It is more of, bread and butter. We can't survive if we don't change.
They're not updated.
Yeah, we are not updated. So
now there is one point that you previously mentioned, like that the lines are blurring between roles. Let's delve further into that with products that are becoming more software driven, and how important is it now for cross functional capability building? And in your opinion, how do you think L&D is adapting to this?
So cross-functional are happening, and not now, they are happening. I'm a mechanical engineer. I did a switch to computer. I did my initial doctoral research in virtual reality, fully graphics, etc. Then I moved to HR. So things are happening, but then that was more of a choice for people then. But now it is a need of an hour, need of a business, need of getting our paycheck at the end. So it is a need. And as a L&D, we need to serve this need by making things available, which is easier. So at different levels. So imagine a mechanical engineer wants to quickly do macros in Excel to do a quick, let's say, I'm just taking a simple example. A mechanical engineer who is working on thermal analysis gets tons of data of analysis sheet. It comes from a software of analysis called as, let's say, ANSWER. Now it's a huge Excel sheet, and then he wants to do a analysis. It used to take a long time earlier, but now with the AI or even with the simple advanced macros, it is possible. Now that engineer cannot wait for an IT engineer of the company, because now mechanical engineer, it is possible now to macros ready-made code for the requirement from AI. That person has to just plug it in at the right place. Now, this scenario is where a traditional mechanical engineer is trying to understand the macros, may not be good in software programming, gets it ready-made. He just needs to plug. Now, this learning has to be given to that engineer by L&D. Now, we cannot ask them to go through 5 days of software development and logic programming. It has to be quick, something which that engineer understands at his level. He need not be burdened with what is a if and but, if then else and whatnot programming logic. Just quick fix what he needs. Now, if such type of things L&D provides it through various ways, the person will be able to, he will be able to quickly do it. He'll be productive. So to answer you, in my opinion, L&D should find out, L&D departments should find out the ways to make a certain position enabled with the right stuff. Cannot be like, one shoe fit all type of approach. It has to be very, very adaptive. In my opinion, L&D should become a kind of enabler, catalyst for quick fixes quick
Yeah,
learning.
that's the word that was going on in my mind. So, L&D has to enable adaptive learning, because I'm from customer success. And if something is explained to me in the language of, let's say, operations or customer success, it will be way more easier for me to understand that. And then I think that is the biggest need of the hour, that the, the L&D department has to identify on how this adaptation can be done throughout the organization, and then create a connection between all of these teams.
Absolutely. So very adaptive. And there are, so another thing, L&D department outcome is an adaptive approach, but then input is, there are a lot of things changing in the world. And we need to really, as L&D folks, we need to be abreast with what's really happening. There's a lot of like 23rd of September, I read HBR articles. On 23rd of September, I remember that because I always look at when it was published. So uh, there is an HBR article on how AI is influencing the learning area. And they have talked about a very good examples about, one of the example is about how learning agents can be deployed in the companies, and how L&D department can enable having those learning agents.
Interesting.
So very good article. Just look for recent release, HBR 23rd September. Around that period it was released. And the article title, I don't remember, but it's all about how AI for learning folks.
Understood. So now, Harshal, in your opinion, you've spoken about cross-functional learning and roles that are blurring. What does it take businesses and learning strategies to move in sync? How do you align the vision of the company with the vision of how the learners should be enabled in the organization?
So learners, like I said, what we have spoken till now, again, I'm connecting the same. Whatever is a need of an hour, and then some of the industries, some of the companies are in a different race. Let's say I take an example of a fashion industry. My daughter comes from that industry. She's a designer. Now they are far behind than what I'm talking about. So I'm talking from a company which is in the tech, where AI is being infused, everyone uses it. When I talk to my daughter, she says, what is it? Right? So though I just wanted to bring this point that there may be people attending, listening to our talk, maybe from different industry. So what I would like to call out is, not that every place there is a need and there is a rush. Some are behind, but that is okay for them. That's how their industry is. What I would like to call out here is, one has to really understand where the company is, what is the vision, mission, and we have to always align with company's vision, mission, and what the broader goals are. Just because someone is doing, we shouldn't just forcefully fit it. So we have to link it with what the overall MBOs are, and then based on that, have to devise the strategies to make it happen. Like in my company, it's a very fast paced. We have to have, like I said, we are going towards quarterly revision of future skills. I'm devising that process to add newer future skills in a framework every quarter. Without which I think we will not be able to catch up with our competitors and this industry where we are in. But then a company like a fashion industry, where things are a little different, their cycles are different, they work on the seasons, it may be different. So connecting those with a vision, mission, the competencies framework has to be really made to suit it. I'm just trying to link it with the base. So we shouldn't forget the foundation of competency frameworks and models. The foundation lies with companies, the master,
So just
the
because
mission.
everyone's doing it, it is not necessary that your organization also has to do it, unless, of course, if it's in that domain where they have to catch up with AI.
Right. And then obviously to stay ahead of the competition, to have that competitive edge, we have to be a step ahead. So at the same time, while I'm telling that, no need of rushing up, but at the same time, I'm telling that we have to have our eyes open in what's happening in the world, and have to adopt ahead of others, just to remain in the competition or ahead in the competition. So while have a connect with mission and vision of the company. At the same time, look at where the companies, where the industry is heading, where the tech is catching up, and then provide. I believe as a L&D department, L&D folks, we are kind of eyes and ears for the company. So we do attend this type of dialogues, we do attend conferences. By nature, we are in the learning, so we read articles. Like I just read the recent article of HBR. So getting to know about what's really happening, not only in the HR space, but in the business space.
Right.
Having it communicated to the leaders, making them aware that, hey, this is what's happening. There was another HBR article, it came maybe 2-3 months ago. And that article talks about a very new concept. Can the CTO and CHRO role being merged? It's a very interesting article. And it has both views. Can the CTO being given the HR, CHRO, CPO role, or CPO person can be given CTO role? And very interesting article. Otherwise, it's actually siloed. But that article really made me think, and I would like all those who are listening to just look at that, search for that article, and very interesting. What that article finally narrates, concludes it, the HR finally has to enable the technology officer by providing the right competency framework and the skills and the learning. So can't be isolated. And at the same time, if the CPO, the CHRO doesn't understand technology, cannot implement it. So the article says with a lot of research, so they had done the research with the empirical data and with some 10,000 people, something like that in European era. And they found out through an empirical research that if this is merged, it is better. So they tried this as a study in certain areas. They actually made it happen as a part of research studies. A professor who are connected as an industry consultant, and he tried it. It's a very interesting concept. So just to answer, there are things changing, and we are the eyes and ears. And if we can enable business by not only telling what is changing, but also telling that this is how I can help you to change. I think something good.
That makes sense. This is one of those conversations that's making me think, like really think. And I think I'm also going to go back and read the article that you just mentioned. In fact, both the articles. But then this is such a new concept. So maybe one way of being again in sync is just looking out at the vast possibilities that are out there with technology. Because I mean, then this may not be limited to CTO and the CHRO role. It can expand to, let's say, the customer success role, to the HR role. I mean, you never know. But yeah, that's food for thought for everyone out there. And Harshal, if we look ahead, 5 years down the line, what learning models with global organizations need the most? What do you think should be the 5-year plan?
In my opinion, if I look at the little traditional way, and I had seen those in my previous organizations, there is a learning calendar. There's a very systematic things. It has to continue to some extent, but I believe in more just-in-time learning, agile way of learning, democratizing learning. I had seen some of the organizations where, to get certain learning, there are a lot of approvals. I think gone are the days. It should be just available for everyone anytime, without any restrictions. If I am in certain department and I just want to learn something else, I shouldn't be asked a question. It is my work. I'm performing. I'm doing my all duties. Over and above, I want to learn whatever I want to learn. So going forward in next 5 years, as a company, we should have a democratized, like available in abundance. Anything you do it whatever you want to have, rather than giving them there are companies I know even today there is a mandate of like 30 hours of learning a year. In my opinion, I earlier used to really support it, but as on today, I believe, and I have seen in my current company where we don't have any mandate. We say, I believe, and during my PhD work also, one thing which came out very strongly is we shouldn't force learning. It should be pull rather than push. As a L&D, as a company, we should make the resources available, make all possible resources in all possible ways, like you mentioned, bite-sized learning, agile learning, the AI-based learning, uh, learning whenever I want with exact points. Say, for example, in YouTube, if you see, or rather any videos, now with the technology, it is possible to get out of 1 hour video exactly the clip of 5 minutes.
Correct.
Or even shorter than that, only that as a nugget, and that can be fed. So imagine you have a video in your LMS, user ask a particular question that I need a quick support on XYZ implementation. In that video, your agent or whatever software goes, picks up that 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, plug it together and tells that here it is available. The source is this main file and it is available at so and so minute in the main video. Now that engineer will solve the problem. And the research says that, in my research also I found it, people will use the quick fix, but then they will also have at back of their mind that I need to know the fundamentals on the bigger story also. So I'm sure that, so there is a fear. The fear of agile learning will kill the concepts. I believe it will not. People know how important it is to also know the fundamentals. So they will quick fix, get the job done. They will go back and learn the fundamentals on their own at their ease. So in my opinion, as a L&D department, we should come out from a little fixed mindset. I had mine. I was a bit fixed earlier, maybe 5 years ago, and then my PhD work, this current work and all changed and become more free, make it free type of person. So open up.
But I have a follow-up question here. See, you have seen the importance of how your core concepts should be, right? It is very important that your fundamentals should be very clear. But for the upcoming generation who are learning directly from, for the example that you gave, reels and these shorts. Now, if they're directly learning from it, and this is just a question that's, just come out from the answer that you gave, which I did connect to. But then how will they understand that clearing their concepts and having their fundamentals strong is also very important? And these quick fixes are good if you are on a time crunch. But then eventually they have to ensure that their fundamentals are also clear.
If you, and new generations, we are talking about 5 years down the line and future, a new generation is taking over, old generation is getting retired. And the new generation, one of the characteristic is why. We call this a why generation. Why, right? Why generation. They have a question. If we delegate some work, why do you want me to do? Isn't it? Why generation. Now it is very right. And we always say that if the why behind what is clear, the what is very effective.
100%, yes.
Right? Now this generation is by default getting into why. Unlike our generation, my generation, we were assigned a task, we will, okay, sir, and then do it without asking a question, because those days it was like, okay, it's a respect to the elder. My elder, even in the office, has told something, I will just do it. If the elder person tells why, good, otherwise I'll still do it. But today's generation will not do it. They will want to know why. And if they are not convinced with the why, they openly say that I will not do it. I don't think I'll do it. That's a kind of language. Now we have to take this generation's characteristics to our advantage and also give that nuggets of why. May not be lengthy, but give a link or give some additional thing. Because one of the things which this generation wants is, don't give me a theory. Though they want to know why, they also don't want to hear the story. They don't want to hear the gyan.
Correct.
So it's like a little contradicting nature. If you see, they want why, but they don't want to hear the gyan. So you give the crisp, and that's where the L&D has to really play the bite size, which you mentioned. Give quick why, and then say more details if you want. Here is the thing, go in depth. This generation is also curious.
Yeah.
So one of the thing in my previous profile and even now also, I do a lot with, internally we call them risers, freshers basically. I have been observing for last 3 years the kind of new gen and new freshers coming in, they are curious. They want a quick gratification, they want quick things, but then they are curious. They see, so the data shows that people revisit the courses after a long time. The data shows that. So that means there is a curiosity. People want an answer. Not that all 100 people will do it, but whenever they see, it's like that when there is an urge to know why, they will definitely go it. So to answer you, we have to really blend our ways as a L&D with this new generation's ways of working and manual. So I'd like to give one example. I'm getting into a good flow. And I read one article. I also come from a academic profession. So my initial 1 decade, I was a professor, research professor, and also a consultant. I led the research center on virtual reality with MS Ramaya Bangalore in association with Coventry University, government funded research laboratory with 3 objectives for the funded center. Create a manpower in high-end skills through master's degree, research consulting, and the actual projects, research project. So one thing I would like to tell is, and I lost my thread. Sorry, what were we talking?
About the generation and upcoming generation and how they want to go into further details sometimes, and if they are interested, they look it up themselves. And then you spoke about the research work that you did.
Right. So I was talking about this freshers, and then they are actually doing it. So during one of my previous studies, what I found is people do spend time. We actually did this as an academic project by taking a lot of data. Then I used to work, consult HCL, and things similar. I'm talking about 10 years ago, right? So research also shows that, and that was an input to the L&D department, that don't force it, leave it at their own. People, when they are in need, they will get back. So sorry, I deviated just to tell that, there are a lot of academic and there are empirical research which have happened, which talks about it, and somehow as an L&D we ignore it, or we don't know all this, and then we go with a traditional way. So you have to little bit open up, accept it, and go with some of the things which are published and pick it up. Sorry, I just got deviated and wanted to give an example.
All right. I feel that, what I understood from your point is that the L&D department has to do their role. They have to enable these bite-size and anytime learning. And of course, it's also their duty to summarize and then share follow-up articles or share follow-up details. And when the learner is ready, they'll go ahead and just research it themselves.
Right. Also, one more thing I believe we should also start doing, L&D, is there is a knowledge getting created while the learning happens, and that is somehow I felt, not only now, even earlier days, we are ignoring the capture of knowledge getting created. So if we can somehow capture it, and mechanisms can be very different. For example, if I'm a trainer and I am doing a training, let's say classroom training, and there is a very, very important question. See, this generation and upcoming, they are very curious and they have questions like why and why not and what if. So there are these types of questions. Now imagine a what if type of question comes to me. I had never thought of it as a SME or a trainer, right? Now that what if question, I try to answer. It may be right, or I may say that I will get back by researching, and I get back. Now, this entire interaction of what if and my answer, my research towards it, I'm not capturing anywhere. So the knowledge which is getting created in this scenario is not captured. If we have a mechanism, it is possible if it is an AI-based learning where AI is continuously getting trained.
Yeah.
Right? But in otherwise scenario, it is not. Even the AI agents which we do it, unless we have a configuration in their backend architecture to keep training the agent, then it is possible. But again, we will have to have a check and balance of wrong knowledge shouldn't get in. That's one of the disadvantage of AI, that it will keep training everything. So I don't know how to put the check. on that at this moment?
Process can be cited in such a case, right? And I think, while AI education is out there and everyone is saying learn AI, the repercussions and how to safeguard yourself in today's era is also very important. So I think educating learners about AI is great, but there should be mandatory learning modules that also help you understand on why you shouldn't completely rely on it, because it's also an evolving module.
Absolutely. So I agree on this AI mandatory module because people think, I have seen it in my professional world, in my personal world, people think that AI give an answer means like, finals or
Exactly.
gospel type, but it is not. And now the new problem coming in AI world is a hallucination. AI gives an answer which appears correct, but it hallucinates, making it appear good answer, but it is just cooking up something, may or may not be correct.
Yeah, we should let AI also have its own bugs, and then the people can resolve these bugs at their own pace. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've had a great conversation, Harshal. I'm confident in saying that you're a true visionary leader because I've learned a lot from our conversation today. Thank you so much for taking out time.
It's my pleasure talking to you, Pragya, and thanks, Courseplay. And sure, look forward.
Most welcome. Thank you.